Jung talks about the historical importance of the fish with a discussion of the birth of the Messiah. He writes, like every hero, Christ had a childhood that was threatened. Massacre of the innocents, flight into Egypt. The astrological interpretation of this can be found in Revelation 12:1. A woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and on her head a crown of 12 stars. This image of the woman clothed with the sun is part of a grand apocalyptic vision experienced by Saint John the Divine. Now, a great sign appeared in heaven, a woman adorned with the sun standing on the moon and with the 12 stars on her head for a crown. She was pregnant and in labor, crying aloud in the pangs of childbirth. Then a second sign appeared in the sky, a huge red dragon which had 7 heads and 10 horns, and each of the 7 heads crowned with a coronet. Its tail dragged a third of the stars from the sky and dropped them to the earth. And the dragon stopped in front of the woman as she was having the child, so that he could eat it as soon as it was born from its mother. The woman brought a male child into the world, the son who was to rule all the nations with an iron scepter. And the child was taken straight up to God and to his throne, while the woman escaped into the desert, where God had made a place of safety ready for her to be looked after in the 1260 days. Jung refers to this account in Revelation as a variation of Christ's nativity. He observes there that the image also corresponds to the myth of Letos giving birth to Apollo. Leto was pregnant with the twins Artemis and Apollo, but Hera in the form of a python pursued her and allowed her no rest, nor was any place on earth permitted to aid at the birth, which finally came to pass on Delos, a floating island. The passage in Revelation gives us a parallel image of a pregnant woman with a serpent or dragon waiting to devour the child as soon as it comes forth. In his commentary in answer to Job, Jung notes that in the Revelation text, she is a woman clothed with the sun, emphasizing that she is simply a woman, an ordinary woman, not a goddess and not an eternal virgin immaculately conceived. Jung puts forth the idea that the next incarnation of the self is symbolized by the birth of this child, and that it appears in the individuation process. It will be born out of the ordinary human being and not the special purified one represented by the Virgin Mary. He points out that the child is born out of the union of opposites. Since the woman is clothed in the sun and has the moon at her feet, she personifies the conjunctio of Sol and Luna. Also, the Messiah is born into an environment of grave danger. In psychological terms, this can be thought as danger surrounding the newborn self, because the established conscious dominant, the conscious authority accepted by the ego, is gravely threatened by the birth of the self. It senses that its authority will be overruled. Jung further talks about the vision of Saint John and says the man-child is caught up to God, who is manifestly his father, and the mother is hidden in the wilderness. This would seem to indicate that the child figure will remain latent for an indefinite time and that its activity is reserved for the future. Also, this strange repetition or duplication of the characteristic events in Christ's life gave rise to the conjecture that a second Messiah is to be expected at the end of the world. What is meant here cannot be the return of Christ himself, for we are told that he would come in the clouds of heaven, but not to be born a second time, and certainly not from a sun-moon conjunction. The fact that John uses the myth of Leto and Apollo in describing the birth may be an indication that the vision, in contrast to the Christian tradition, is a product of the unconscious. This imagery is particularly relevant to the individuation process, and it has been discovered and made explicit at the present time. The man-child who is caught up to God is an image of the self, which is to be realized through the efforts of the ordinary person at the end of the Christian Aion. The image is a prefiguration of the discovery of the individuation process, which is why Jung paid so much attention to it.